Of course, darling, you don't want to hurt you. Of course, darling, that is what you can see. But okay, forget about them. Of course, darling, she wants to be Marie. Of course, darling, and she wants to be the mother from God or something like that. Of course, and she used your brother to hurt you. Of course, darling, but that is what you can see. That you're gonna forget, that you're not gonna be hurt, that I'm gonna buy you an electric car and all the rats are gonna run away. Of course, darling, that is what you can see, that you're never gonna have anything that hurts you. Of course, darling, that is what you can see, that no one can against us. Of course, darling, that we are gonna be so fine and forget about them all. Of course, darling, your aunt is in this Marie Enterprise and she tries to bring God back on town and throw a cross at you. Of course, darling, but you're gonna survive. I can swear you that. Of course, darling, that is what you can see. She's also a frustrated black woman and she thinks she's blonde, but she's just fake blonde. Of course, darling, she's not gonna catch blonde. Of course, darling, she's gonna catch brown like you, but she's just a frustrated black woman and she's a racist. Of course, darling, and she tries to hurt you, but okay, darling, forget about them all fake blondes that are not gonna catch blonde. Of course, darling, that is what you can get, that is what you can see. And if you want some gold, take your brother. Of course, darling, he's not gonna hurt you. Of course, darling, that is what you can see. Of course, darling, that is what you can get, that they are all fake and frustrated blondes, frustrated blacks. Of course, darling, forget about them all. Of course, darling, that is what you can see, that they try to hurt you. Of course, darling, but forget about them. They are not gonna do anything to you. They are not gonna hurt you because I'm gonna buy you an electric car. Of course, darling, you're gonna go with your starship, go far away from them. That is what you can get. Of course, darling, forget about them all. Of course, darling. Of course, darling, your aunt wanna hurt you. Of course, darling, that is what you can see, that she's in this Mary Enterprise and she wants to be the mother from God or something like that and throw a cross at you. But forget about her. Of course, darling, your aunt is just evil. Of course, darling, that is what you can see. Forget about her. That is what you can get. That is gonna buy you an electric car. Of course, darling, and the rats are gonna run away from you. I can swear you that you're just 6 years old and nothing is gonna happen to you. I can swear you that. Of course, darling, that is what you can see, that no one is gonna hurt you. I can swear you that your aunt is just evil. Of course, darling, she's in this Mary Enterprise and she thinks she can be the mother from God or something like that because she's just a frustrated black woman. Of course, darling, that is what you can see, and she thinks that she can hurt you, but she cannot. Of course, darling, that is what you can see, that no one is gonna hurt you. I can swear you that. Of course, darling, that is gonna buy an electric car and the rats are gonna run away. Of course, darling, and when you are old enough, I'm gonna find you a man and you're gonna cash some money. Of course, darling, and rats are never gonna hurt you. I can swear you that. Of course, darling, that is what you can see. Of course, darling, that is what you can get. So forget about them. They put you in a trap to try to be Marie. Of course, darling, something like that. Of course, darling, they put you in a trap to hurt you. Of course, darling, and you're higher and hotter and more intelligent and them. I can swear you that, of course, darling, that is what you can get. That they want to throw across at you and hurt you, of course, darling, but I'm not gonna allow it. I can swear you that, of course, darling, that is what you can see. That they put you in a trap to hurt you and to hurt me and to try to bring God back on town in this merry enterprise. Of course, darling, but forget about them. Of course, darling, that is what you can see. Forget about them all, of course, darling. One heart. Of course, darling, your round is just frustrated. Of course, darling, and she thinks she can be Cleopatra. Of course, darling, and with the mummies, she tries to bring God back on town, to bring mommy zombies back in town. Of course, darling, she's just crazy. Of course, darling, forget about her. She is just evil, of course, darling, and she wanna hurt you and put you against your brother, but okay, forget about her. Of course, darling, that is what you can see, that she's in this merry enterprise and try to hurt you, but that is gonna buy you an electric car, and the rats are gonna run away from you, and when you're old enough, I'm gonna find someone that cash money for you, of course, darling, and you're gonna have an electric car without gas oil, of course, darling, and you're gonna be Electra, of course, darling, or something like that, of course, with your electric car, of course, darling, and they are all gonna forget about you, of course, darling, that is what you can see, that they try to hurt you the whole time, and I'm not gonna allow it, of course, darling, they want to throw crosses at you and hurt you, these frustrated blondes, and these frustrated blacks, and this frustrated Cleopatra. Of course, darling, forget about her. Of course, darling, that is what you can see, that you have an evil aunt. Of course, darling, forget about them all. Of course, darling, that is what you can see, that they put you on a trap to bring God back on town with this merry enterprise. Of course, darling, but you are higher and hotter and more intelligent than them because they want to hurt you, but I'm not gonna allow you it. I can swear you that, of course, darling. No one is gonna hurt you because they put you in a trap and you're higher and hotter and intelligent. One heart. Of course, darling. That is what you can see, that they want to hurt you, of course, darling, and put you in a trap. But I'm not gonna allow it, of course, darling.